Welcome back, everybody. I'm Miss Delta 9, and today we're diving into a question that many people ask after awakening begins. Why do some people awaken and others never seem to awaken? Why can two people experience pain, loss, trauma, suffering, and one transform while the other remains stuck in the same unconscious pattern? And perhaps, or even a harder question, why does awakening so often begin with suffering? If you've experienced a spiritual awakening, a dark night of the soul, an ego collapse, or lost grief, illness, heartbreak, addiction, anxiety, or a moment where life just cracked you open, then this conversation may feel very familiar to you, because awakening rarely begins with comfort. Awakening often begins when what you believe yourself to be begins to fall apart. What does awakening really mean? Everyone knows what awake means in the ordinary sense. You wake up in the morning. But spiritually awakening has been spoken about for thousands of years. Many people associate awakening with Buddhism. The word Buddha itself means the awakened one. Not necessarily a name, a state, an awareness, someone who is no longer asleep inside their own mind. And awakening appears in nearly every major spiritual tradition. In Hindu philosophy, mysticism, ancient teaching, even Christianity, Jesus repeatedly spoke about remaining awake. One passage he said was, "What I say unto you, I say unto all, stay awake." Perhaps not awake physically, but awake consciously, aware, present, no longer completely identified with thought. There are 4 stages of consciousness that ancient Indian philosophers described consciousness in stages. 1 was the dreamlike sleep. 2 was a dream state. 3 was the ordinary awakening consciousness, and the 4th state was Tura, T-U-R-A. Tura is awareness of self, is presence, pure consciousness beneath thought. And many believe humanity is slowly moving towards this higher state of collective consciousness, and perhaps that moment is why you are here listening, because something inside of you already recognizes it. Awakening often begins before the mind can understand. Why some people awaken and some don't? This is difficult but important. I believe every human being contains the potential for awakening. Every single person, like a seed, the seed exists in all of us. But not every seed sprouts at the same time. Some seeds remain dormant for years, for lifetimes even, depending on your beliefs. And often the presence that cracks the shell open is suffering. Suffering is the catalyst. This part sounds harsh, I know, but suffering appears repeatedly throughout spiritual teaching. Pain has a function, loss has a function, disappointment has a function, and sometimes suffering interprets the dream we believe was our life, and it forces us to ask questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What matters? Why am I hurting? What survives when everything I identify with disappears without disruption? Many never answer that question. Life feels uncomfortable enough. There's no reason to look deeper, no urgency, no opening. Carl Jung spoke about this. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. That is a difficult statement, yet many awakened individuals recognize that truth because suffering often strips away illusion, not immediately, not beautifully, sometimes painfully, sometimes messy, sometimes very slowly. But the purpose of suffering changes. Here's something really important. Suffering may begin the awakening process, but eventually suffering fulfills its purpose. After awakening deepens, challenges remain. Life still happens, loss still happens, but the relationship to it changes. The challenges no longer automatically create unconsciousness. Pain no longer completely possesses you. Instead, difficulty becomes your teacher, obstacles become your mirror, and hardships become awareness. You know, the symbol of the cross, whether you're Christian or not, consider the archetype, the image of immersed suffering, then resurrection, transcendence, and transformation. The instrument of suffering becomes the symbol of divinity. That's profound, because perhaps the teaching beneath it is transformation can emerge through suffering, not glorifying pain, but recognizing what pain can awaken. So the secret many miss, the very thing we believe are running our lives, the heartbreak, the loss, the illness, the failure, the rejection, the loneliness, the dark night, those same experiences sometimes become the doorway, the thing preventing awakening, but becoming the thing causing the awakening. That's a paradox. I have a personal reflection, and if I had not experienced the suffering I did, I would not be here speaking with you. My life breaking apart forced deeper questions, forced awareness, forced transformation. Many awakened people say similar things, not because suffering is good, but because something emerged through it. Maybe you're in a season where life feels heavy. Maybe everything familiar is changing. Maybe you're asking, why me? Why this? Why now? I cannot answer every reason, but sometimes the breaking is not punishment. Sometimes the breaking is opening. If any of this resonated with you and your experiences, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Have you experienced awakening through suffering? Was there a moment that changed everything for you? Please like, share, and leave a comment for me, and let's get this conversation started, shall we? Namaste, everybody.